Hi all, this is Dr. Mamta Java, infectious diseases specialist, and in this video module, I'm going to discuss an important clinical vignette on a very important parasite. So let's proceed. Now the question goes like this. A child is taken to the doctor because of a 2-week bout of abdominal discomfort and diarrheic stools. A fecal concentration reveals scores of bipolar eggs like the one shown in this picture, indicating a heavy parasite burden. Which of the following complications might occur if the child is not treated for this parasite? Your options are asthma-like manifestations, blockade of the duodenum, extraintestinal infection, or prolapse of rectum. Now let us see. The answer to this question is option D, that is prolapse of the rectum. Now, the important things which you need to notice in this particular question have been highlighted in green color. For instance, the point to be taken in consideration is that this is an infection which is occurring in a child. So probably it is one of the infections which is more common in kids. Okay, but again, this is not true in all the cases. Adults could also be infected, right? So nevertheless, keep this in mind that a kid is getting affected. So the symptoms are abdominal discomfort and diarrheic stools. There are scores of bipolar eggs as shown, which indicates heavy parasitic burden. So basically the stool examination reveals many eggs. Scores of eggs means many eggs, and that too after concentration technique. Okay, fecal concentration techniques help us identify the eggs much more easily rather than when we go for fecal sample examination directly without concentration. Okay, so it is a heavy infestation, a kid is being affected, and the biggest clue in this question is the typical morphology of the egg, which was revealed by the fecal smear examination. So as you can see over here, what is the shape of this egg? This looks like a barrel. It's a barrel shaped egg, right? It is brownish in color, which tells you that it is bile stained. Bile stained. Now, guys, in helminthology, there are many infections which are very easy to diagnose just on the basis of the morphology of the egg. For instance, in this case, barrel-shaped egg, which is bile stained, and you can see these two thickenings at both the poles. These are the two mucus plugs which you need to notice in this picture, and this characteristic morphology of the egg belongs to which helminth? It belongs to what is known as Trichuris trichiura, right? And it can cause prolapse of the rectum as an important complication, right? It does not cause asthma-like manifestations. It does not cause blockage of the duodenum because it is a helminth which resides in the large intestine and not the small intestine, and it does not cause extra intestinal infection. All right, now in this video module I'm going to tell you some very important features of this parasite which are important not just for NEET, NEXT and Central Institute exams, but also very important for the theory exams of second prof students. So let us begin. Now, just like we have got, at least two names. One name is the official name which our parents have given us, and the other is our nickname at home. And many of us might be having nicknames amongst our friends, etc., etc. Similarly, in microbiology also, very often you have got more than one name of a microorganism, right? Now, see, remember, helminths are actually not microscopic organisms. Helminths are basically macroscopic organisms, but still we read them in microbiology because their morphological forms like eggs and all require the aid of a microscope to be seen. Right? The worms can be seen with naked eye. Okay, so strictly speaking, the worms are macroscopic, but their morphological forms like eggs and all require the help of a microscope to be seen. And what is the other name of this worm? Trichuris trichura. The other name is whipworm. Whipworm. Okay, why it is named so? Look at this. This is how a whip looks like on the right, as you can see, and in this picture on the left, you can see many of these worms which look like a whip. And I want you all to notice this coiled structure in so many in most of these worms rather. Now what does this tell you? What does this tell you? Now see this. Now I've put up two pictures, the male worm and the female worm. Why did I tell you to notice the coil in the previous picture? See this once again. These are the coils which I have marked in red. Now these are the two pics, the male worm on the left and the female worm on the right. Now the male worm, this is the anterior end of the worm, this is the posterior end. Similarly in the female worm, anterior end and posterior end. Now the anterior end in both the worms is thin and it looks like what? It looks like the anterior part of the or the tail of the whip. The thinner part, the anterior part is thinner, which looks like the tail of the whip, and the posterior part, this is the posterior part which is thicker, which looks like the handle of the whip. Once again see the whip. Okay, this is the whip. Now the coil which I wanted you all to notice tells you that it is a male worm. So the caudal end of the male parasite, the male worm has got, it is coiled like this. Okay. Now the other thing which you need to remember is that the male worm, it is smaller than the female worm. It measures 30 to 35 millimeters in length, whereas the female is longer. Sorry, it is 30 to 45 millimeters, and the female worm is 35 to 50 millimeters. All right. Now I want you all to remember 30 and 35 in Hindi, 30 and 35, and you add 15 to both these numbers. If you add 15 to 30, you will get 45. Similarly, if you add 15 to 35, you get 50. Alright. Now, Super 30 was a super hit movie starring Hrithik Roshan, in which he was trying to do a very noble cause, during which he faced a lot of hardships. By the way, it's a very good movie. Go watch it. Okay. You can watch it on Netflix. Obviously, you can't go and watch these days. Now, Trichuris should remind you of the, trying endeavor by Hrithik Roshan in the movie Super 30, and 30 should serve as a reminder to recall the size of these worms. Remember 30, 35. You add 15 to both 30 and 35 to get the size ranges of these worms. Okay. Now remember these worms usually are not shed in the feces of the infected individuals. Why? Because the anterior part of the worm remains embedded in the intestinal mucosa, and the posterior part lies freely in the lumen. Okay, so these worms are rarely shed in the feces of the infected individuals, and they can sometimes be seen on proctoscopic examination. Proctoscopic examination. So this is about the morphology and the reason why they have been named as whipworms. Now let us see, where do these worms live? Now Trichuris trichura infects only and only man. So man is the only host, and the adult worms reside in the large intestine of man, mainly cecum and appendix. So remember C and A, cecum and appendix. Now by the way, the method of classification of helminths can be classified into roundworms and flatworms. The roundworms are the nematodes, and nematodes can be classified into two categories: the intestinal nematodes and the tissue nematodes, based on where the adult worm lives. If the adult worm is living in any tissue, it is referred to as tissue nematode. On the other hand, if the adult worm of a parasite of a worm is residing in the intestine, we call it as an intestinal nematode. And further, we can categorize the intestinal nematodes into the small intestinal ones and the large intestinal nematodes. Alright, and what we are dealing with in this particular module, video module, we are discussing Trichuris trichura, and which is an example of a large intestinal nematode. So remember Trichuris trichura, and also the other one is Enterobius vermicularis. Enterobius vermicularis. I want you all to remember LET, let. Okay, L-E-T, let. L for large intestine, E for enterobius vermicularis, T for trichuris trichura. You need to just know about these two important large intestinal nematodes as medicos and also follow your exams. That's all. Now, it lives in the cecum and appendix. Now, what is the mode of infection? The mode of infection in case of trichuris trichura is ingestion of the mode of infection is ingestion of the contaminated food and water containing, very important term, the embryonated egg. Embryonated egg. This is very, very important to remember. It is asked as a question. Now let us see. So we have seen how the worm looks like. We have seen where it lives. We have seen what is the mode of infection in this parasite. Now let us see what will happen once it infects us. Okay. So as I already said, humans are the only hosts. Okay. Humans harbor the adult worms in the large intestine. Large intestine. Now such an infected individual will go through what? This individual will pass through. This individual will pass out the eggs in the feces. And what is the nature of these eggs? These eggs are unembryonated eggs. Unembryonated, very, very important. Now, in a span of 28 days and 2 moltings, these eggs will become embryonated, which is the infective form. That is why I was emphasizing in the previous slide that the mode of infection is intake of the embryonated and not the unembryonated egg along with contaminated food and water. All right. Now, guys, what do we mean by molting? We all know that change is the only constant thing in the universe. Okay, molting is also it means a kind of change which happens during the development of larval stages in helminths. So what happens, the feces of this person have got this unembryonated egg, and during molting what will happen, larvae will form. Right now there are 2 moltings which are supposed to happen, and these moltings occur where? They occur in soil. And what should be the condition required? What is the condition required for molting? There should be warm and moist soil. Warm and moist soil. So the time period for molting or larval development is 28 days, and 2 moltings are needed. Now after the first molting, what will happen? The first stage larva forms. Okay, and then after the second molting, the second stage larva forms. Okay, second stage larva form. So molting basically is a process of maturation or further development of the larva, during which the external skeleton is shed off and a new one is created. Okay, so this embryonated egg which is having the second stage larva, remember, which is having the second stage larva is the infective form. Now if somebody else eats this egg having the second stage larva, what will happen in that person? In that person, these eggs will hatch in the small intestine. This again is a very, very important thing to be noticed over here. We are dealing with a parasite which I said stays in the large intestine, but the eggs are going to hatch in the small intestine. So eggs are going to hatch, meaning what? The eggs are going to release out or throw out the second stage larva. That is the very content of the egg. तो वो बाहर किसको फेंकेगा? जो उसके पास अंदर है. The second stage larva is thrown out into the small intestinal lumen. Then the second stage larva which has been released this way, it goes where? It goes to the large intestine, where finally from these larvae the adults are gonna form. Okay, then once the adults have been formed, in a span of 2 to 3 months, what will happen? The females will start laying the eggs after fertilization. All right, so what sequence you need to remember? I'll tell you a general sequence which will be helpful for other parasites as well. Now, a golden rule, do remember L, A and F. Okay, larf. Now, L for larvae. Larvae से क्या बनेगा? Adults. Okay, adults eventually will undergo what? Fertilization. So larvae se banenge adults, and finally adults will fertilize. After fertilization, the female will lay the eggs, and these eggs are then gonna passed out in the feces of this infected individual. Again, these eggs are unembryonated, and they need to develop in the soil. They need to undergo molding so that they can become infective, so as to start the life cycle once again in some other person who is going to ingest the final embryonated or the infective form. So this is about the journey of this journey of the life cycle of Trichuris trichura. Okay, so this you need to remember. Now, okay, one more thing which I want you all to remember over here is, in case of both the large intestinal nematodes, that is Enterobius vermicularis and Trichuris trichura, there are no extra intestinal manifestations. Okay, no extra intestinal manifestations. So no Loeffler's pneumonia and other extra intestinal features. And that was one of the options in the question which I showed you at the beginning. Now, moving ahead with the epidemiology of this worm. Now, it is worldwide in distribution and especially prevalent in warm and moist climate, because the unembryonated eggs need warm and moist environment for maturation into the embryonated eggs. Now, children are commonly affected, and the patient in our question today was a kid. Okay. Now, global prevalence in humans is approximately 604 million. So, it's quite an important parasite you need to know about. Then, now coming to the egg, whose picture was there in the clinical vignette, I told you at the outset only that the egg looks like a barrel. Okay, so on the right you can see the actual picture of the egg. Okay, this is another picture of the egg, different from the one which I showed you in the clinical vignette. Okay, both belong to Trichuris trichura. Now on the left, I have put up the picture of a barrel. As you can see, it's a cylindrical vessel with a bulge in the middle, and it is made up of wood with metal chips wound around it like this. Okay, now wood is brownish in color. Okay, this egg is also brown in color. So color of the wood serves as a reminder that the egg of Trichuris trichura is bile stained. Okay, so remember, bile stained. The egg is looking brownish yellowish in color. So B for brown, B for bile stained. And one more thing, remember, both the ends of this egg have got mucus plugs. Mucus plugs at both the ends, these thickenings of mucus plugs. Okay, this you need to notice, and this morphology is not seen in any other parasite. So this is very, very important. Now, moving ahead, clinical features. Most of the cases are asymptomatic, or they may just have mild eosinophilia. Also remember, eosinophilia is a characteristic feature of helminth infections rather than protozoan infection. Okay, this also you need to remember. Now, most infections, I said, are asymptomatic, and if at all symptoms occur, what are those? The common manifestations which a patient may present with are abdominal pain, anorexia. Okay, these are non-specific features. Then Trichuris dysentery syndrome. Okay, dysentery syndrome meaning passage of blood or mucus in the stools resembling inflammatory bowel disease. Okay, then IDA, that is iron deficiency anemia. Okay, this iron deficiency anemia is, by the way, not because of sucking of blood by the parasite which is seen in hookworm, but it is because of malnutrition. Okay, it is because of malnutrition and blood loss. Okay, so remember, IDA and IBD. Okay, IDA, IBD are important features of Trichuris trichura. Now, recurrent rectal prolapse can occur because of too many worms, in the rectum, and our patient, this was one of the option in the clinical vignette which I showed you in the beginning. Okay, then growth retardation and impaired cognitive function. This can occur because of anti-inflammatory cytokines which our immune system sometimes produces in response to a heavy worm burden. Okay, anti-inflammatory cytokines. All right. Then we have this is a very good picture of rectal prolapse. Okay, because of Trichuris trichura. You can see. Let me highlight this in red. This is a worm, this is a worm. You can see many of them, this one, this one, this one. Okay, the typical picture of rectal prolapse attributed to treacherous trichera. Now, in people with heavy infections, things can get complicated. Why? The adult worm gets buried in the large interstitial mucosa, which could lead to the mechanical distortion, and this in turn is going to be responsible for the inflamed edematous and the friable mucosa. And allergic response can sometimes be elicited by the host. What happens during this allergic response? Remember, it is not asthma, which was one of the options I told you before as well. Asthma is not one of the allergic responses because of treacherous trichera. Then what allergic response we are talking about? The lamina propria. The lamina propria gets filled up with macrophages. The macrophage infiltrates are gonna, be there in the lamina propria, and these macrophages produce tumor necrosis factor alpha. Okay, so this is the characteristic allergic response by the host in response to a treacherous trichera infection, and this is seen in heavy infestations. Okay, now this picture shows you the numerous adult worms of treacherous trichera attached to the colonic mucosa. Okay, all this, everything, the most of this picture is studded with these curly white things which you can see. Those are the treacherous trichera which have impacted upon or attached to the colonic mucosa. Moving ahead with the lab diagnosis. Now, the best way to diagnose is stool microscopic examination to look for the characteristic eggs. Now, I have shown you the picture of the egg. All right. Now, this is the barrel-shaped egg, and yellow dirty fellow. It is, remember, bile-stained. Okay, barrel-shaped, you all know, and bulging in the middle, looking like a barrel. It is 50 to 54 microns long, and what is the width? It is 22 to 23 microns wide. Okay, now before that I told you the male and the female worm के sizes क्या होते हैं. Remember super 30 ऋतिक रोशन 30. Okay, 30 में 15 add कर दो, 30 to 45. Okay, then also remember 30 and 35. 30 का काम खत्म हो गया, 35 पे आ जाओ. 35 में 15 if you add you get 50. Okay, now this 50 serves as a reminder to remember the length of the egg. 50 से 54 microns and 22 to 23 microns width is these are the dimensions of the egg. And also remember, obviously the size of these worms which I have told you, these sizes are in millimeters. Okay, so stool examination for the characteristic eggs. If sometimes it is not possible to see the stool specimen immediately, you can preserve the stool sample also. And for preservation, formalin is preferred to polyvinyl alcohol. Okay. Remember, formalin should remind you of formality. It's a formality to buy furniture made up of wood. I told you the picture, I showed you the picture of a barrel. Barrel is made up of wood. So remember, wood is wonderful. Okay, wood is wonderful because wood is brown in color. The wooden barrel helps you remember the barrel shaped eggs of treacherous trichera, and using wood is a formality. Formality meaning, remember, formalin is preferred. It's a preferred agent to preserve the stool specimens. If you are suspecting treacherous trichera, it is preferred to which agent? It is preferred over polyvinyl alcohol. Polyvinyl alcohol can be used, but formalin is preferred. Then, whip-shaped adult worms 3 to 5 centimeters long are occasionally seen on proctoscopy. This already I have told you before. Other corroboratory findings include peripheral blood eosinophilia up till 15% and increased serum IgE levels. We all know eosinophilia and increase in IgE levels are characteristic features of helminthic infections. Okay. Then moving to the treatment. Now, mebendazole and albendazole, these drugs are safe and moderately effective for the treatment. Moderately effective meaning they are the cure rate is 70 to 90%. Meaning if there are 100 patients of treacherous trichera infection, 70 to 90 out of those 100 patients will respond to either of these drugs. The doses are mebendazole to be given as 500 mg once, or albendazole you can use, and the dosage is 400 mg daily for 3 doses. Now a less preferred drug is ivermectin. Okay, the dose is 200 mg per kg daily for 3 doses. It is also safe but less effective. Okay, remember ivermectin is the drug of choice for onchocerciasis and strongyloidiasis. Remember iOS or iPhone, I say ivermectin. Another question for you. O for onchocerciasis and S for strongyloidiasis. Okay, it is the drug of choice for these conditions, and nevertheless could be also used for Trichuris trichura, but not the drug of choice. Okay, now one more thing I told you, 70 to 90% is this is the effectiveness level of mebendazole and albendazole. Also, you can remember the incubation period for Trichuris trichura infection is also 70 to 90 days. Okay, 70 to 90 days. So on purpose, I am telling you the incubation period in this slide only. 70 to 90%, 70 to 90 days. Remember these numbers in context of Trichuris trichura. So far, what numbers you need to remember? Remember super 30 wala 30. Okay, in context of the size, and 70 and 90 also you need to remember to remember the effectiveness of these drugs and the incubation period. Then preventive aspects, there should be adequate disposal of the feces, which decreases both the number of infections and the worm burden. This is very, very important because ultimately the the feces themselves are going to have the unembryonated egg, which if if it goes into the soil, it will undergo further development to form the embryonated egg, which is the infective form. Okay, so it's very, very important that adequate disposal of feces should be done. Okay, so this is about the preventive aspect. I hope this video module is helpful to you, all of you. Any doubts are very much welcome in the comment section. Thank you. Study well. God bless.